Hi, this week's Parsha is Sisa, and it's a Parsha full of so many happenings. You have the golden calf, and then Hashem being like, I'm done, and Moshe like, no, please don't, and Hashem's like, all right, I can never be done with these people, and you see his great compassion, and you get all these laws, and it's interesting that the Parsha opens up with details of many things, but details of the construction of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. And there's like the basins, you got and in the midst of this hustle and bustle, it's worthy of note that in chapter 31 of Shemos, which is Perek Lamed Aleph, verse 13, which is Perek Yud Gimel, the Torah says this: Ve'ata daber el b'nei Yisrael lemor, ach et shabbatotai tishmoru. Ki ot hu beini uveinechem v'dorotechem, ladat ki ani Hashem mekadishchem. And you speak to Bnei Israel, saying, you must still preserve my Shabbos, my Sabbaths, for it is a sign between me and yourselves for generations, to know that I, Hashem, am making you holy. And I love that I, Hashem, are making you holy. I just feel it's so beautiful. Which I was wondering, and Rashi was wondering, bothered by this too, is why in the midst of the building of the tabernacle is there an admonition to remember the Sabbath? And Rashi points out, though you may be preoccupied in the rush of the work of the Mishkan, nevertheless, Shabbos should not be set aside. And what I think the Torah is pointing out a beautiful idea, or alluding to perhaps a beautiful idea, or a teaching that can be deduced here, is that even in the most holiest of work, whether it's healing the sick, or protecting people, or helping our families, or teaching, or building something that's like for good use for everybody, inventing, not to lose sight of Hashem, not to lose yourself in that work. So what could be holier? Building a sanctuary for Hashem. What could be better? What could be more important? But even in that midst, don't forget God while you're doing God's work, because in my experience, it's hard not to get tied up in things. And that's one way of forgetting. There's different ways to forget Hashem, but one way is getting lost and tied up in things. And I think that, unfortunately, in my experience, I think that's one of the hard things about being human, is that it happens. And I wonder, I'll just speak for myself, like, there's still plenty of things I'm tied up in, and I think it's called idolatry, right? But I mean, it's different, like the idea of like am I so secure that if I didn't have a job and didn't have other things in my life that I'm using to support my self-image, would I really be okay? And no, because I have my insecurities and my issues, and I'm a mess, so Aviva Chertnick once taught that it's a terrifying thing to be a human being, it's terrifying, because anything could happen, and it does, and so it's very hard to be a human being. And so I think that's where we see Hashem's great compassion, that he gets that. I think he gets that in a big way. I mean, what could be the worst thing you do? You took him out of Egypt, and then they're worshiping a calf, right? You're sustaining them. There's nothing to worry about. But Moshe, I felt one possible thing is they weren't ready to be so free, to be free connected to God. They weren't so ready, and but Hashem still forgave, and so Hashem's I'm going with you. Moshe's he's still going to be with us. He's with us right now. So with you right now. And he just loves you, loves me, just as I am, and wants us to be here. And I know that Hashem wants me to grow, wants us to continue growth, but not to hate ourselves or be hard on ourselves, because that's just an obstacle. Do the work to free ourselves. Please free ourselves from all the golden calves, whether it's, being tied up in how I look, or whatever it is. Anyway, may Hashem free us, may we have compassion on ourselves, and may we have a great Shabbos.